Want to make sure your 20s are a complete disaster? Here's the ultimate foolproof guide, guaranteed to leave you burnt out, broke, and full of regret. From gambling away your finances with high-risk bets to embracing toxic relationships, we'll cover the best ways to ensure you look back on these years as a waste of potential and opportunity. Don't worry, we'll also include some surefire advice on self-sabotage to keep you on the wrong track. Throughout this video, you'll wonder, how many of these steps am I already practicing? Can I spot the best ways to stay off the right path? And stick around to find out why just going with the flow might be the best possible way to crash and burn through life's most blissful years. So you're finally independent from your overbearing parents, ready to take the world by storm. Now's the time to shine. First things first, money. Now that you're in your 20s, you'll never have to hear no as a final answer to any wish. This means it's time to indulge in all your childhood cravings without holding back. A huge tub of your favorite ice cream sounds like a nice reward after a long commute home from work. Phone bills can also wait. That reminds me, you should check out that fancy new credit card you saw in a YouTube ad last night. Imagine it. Payday finally rolls around, and instead of responsibly setting aside some cash for a rainy day, you instead treat yourself to an all-out spending spree. If you've got enough in your account to cover your wants, why worry about some distant future? Once the check clears, it'll be time to hit the club and party like it's the end of the world. If you run out of money halfway through the month, you can just work harder next month. Nothing a quick motivational mastermind David Goggins binge can't inspire you to do. Alright, the shiny plastic finally came in the mail. Time to try out your new toy. In your mind, credit cards are practically free money, especially when the grind-set version of you will make all the money back. Go on, use the last-minute concert tickets on the person you met while out on the town last week. Why worry about interest rates? Those things aren't that big of a deal and the financial system's a scam anyway. If there is talk about canceling student loan debt, credit card loans might be next in line. Financial planners often talk about the debt trap that people fall into in their 20s by overspending on credit. You're built differently, though. They'll often say stuff about high interest rates, minimum payments, and how debt can quickly spiral out of control. They don't know that you have a secret. Those nerds haven't seen the influencer masterclass you've bookmarked on how to play the debt system. So why worry? Any emergency fund is only ever a nice idea if you expect bad things to happen. Seriously, what's the worst that could happen in your 20s? Without an emergency fund, you get to live life on the edge. You will always have the thrill of uncertainty to make experiences feel like a movie. Car broke down? Now you're on a side quest, scrapping together enough cash by any means possible. Health emergency is a fantastic opportunity to feel like a mafia boss. Time to start calling in some favors. Some financial advisors recommend something like 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses as a safety net. Your view has always been, why make a safety net when you don't plan on falling? Retirement, in this economy, that's for a forgotten generation. Why start saving now when you've got decades to worry about it? Experts preach about things like compound interest and early retirement savings. Really, though, what's the rush? There's no need to think about where you'll be in 40 years, especially when you're still figuring out what's for dinner tonight. Besides, who even thinks that there's a future worth saving for? Climate change, overpopulation, AI, and other factors heavily affect what lies ahead, so live for today. On that note, you should also totally ignore the fact that experts have found that planning for the future helps you stay ahead of life's curveballs. They say that planning can help improve performance in future tasks and reduce the impact on current tasks. Except these experts haven't seen your ace in the hole. You can always rely on the younger generation to bail you out. Who needs long-term goals when the short-term offers so many more exciting opportunities? Weekends were literally made for parties, not pondering about your future or moping about what you can't control. Skip the boring stuff like career planning and spend your time where it truly matters. Create the perfect social media stories from your latest night out. That's a short-term goal with a quick result. Forget any lectures about delayed gratification and investing in your future. Soak up all the fun in your midst and enjoy a more fulfilling life right now. The fear of missing out is now your new religion. Like with many religions, you're bound by this creed, so it's time to start attending every event. Yes, including that grandiose wedding in Europe. Sure, it's someone you only hung out with in sophomore year of college, but everyone you know is going. The last thing you want to miss is a fancy ice sculpture at a wedding. FOMO is that thing whispering in your ear saying, you'll regret staying in. Suddenly you abandon that course you signed up for in exchange for a bit of social validation. You know what? Worth it. After all, ruining your 20s is a pretty epic way to live. Studies show that FOMO can lead to increased stress, financial problems, and depression in young adults. Instead of sorting out those internalized issues, give in to your insecurities fully. Researchers can't deal with the thrill of keeping up with everyone else at all costs. Now we've gotten to the good part. The moment you get a hint of cash inflow to your bank account, spend it. Seriously, let's say you get a raise, then it's time to upgrade your car, your wardrobe, and your choice of restaurants. Of course, the endless chase won't fill that deep, gaping hole in your heart, the one where you always feel like you're just one step behind right where you want to be. Then again, stability is boring, and there's a certain thrill that comes with never having quite enough. Financial experts warn that lifestyle inflation can keep you trapped living paycheck to paycheck, even when your income rises. A practical way to avoid lifestyle inflation is to automate your savings. That way you'll ensure that a portion of your income is adequately tucked away before you have a chance to spend it all. Why bother building yourself up when you can binge watch an entire Netflix series or doom scroll through videos about how your life could be better? If that's what you're currently doing, we're interrupting the brain rot broadcast to let you know that you should do better. Now, back to the program. The beauty of short-term distractions is that they usually feel a lot more urgent and exciting, especially compared to that professional certification you're working on. Here's a life-ruining tip. If you're ever tempted to start working on a long-term goal, distract yourself immediately with anything else. Scroll through your bookmarks on social media and send the funniest memes to your friends, randomly update your wish list of things you can't afford, and then complain about how much your life sucks to your notes app. Just the usual sane 20-something-year-old activities. To those who are curious about life in the long term, skills are worth the effort. We're talking about ruining your 20s, so let's stay focused. Reflecting on your life is hard. Denial is a lot easier. All of the teenage years of pain, trauma, and buried burdens gnawing at the gates of your adult form, begging to be heard. Ignore it. Healing your inner child and confronting your demons is only cool when there's $1 million TV crew filming it for a network. If you're not getting paid, it's not worth your time. Now you get to be in your 20s acting childish and making your problems everyone's problem. Toxic job? That's your boss's fault. Unfulfilled in a relationship? Then your partner was the problem. Get a new relationship next week and then repeat the cycle. Along the way, swear that you're doing everything right. All signs of stagnation in your life are definitely not your fault. Instead, it's this evil, capitalistic society that's the problem. The Joker was right after all. Experts on mental health and personal growth often argue that self-reflection is a major cornerstone of maturity and success. So you're going to have to not do that. Questions like, am I happy, or was this my fault, are booby traps waiting to sabotage your carefree vibes. The wisest of our species learn that confronting these inner thoughts offers a profound level of growth once we work through the issues. Unfortunately, life is too short to spend time wrestling your inner demons. Therapy and journaling are things that require effort and might reveal truths about yourself that you're not ready to face. It's better to instead keep ignoring the voices in your head. Studies also outline why therapy and journaling will greatly improve your emotional intelligence, making you more resilient. Journaling can reshape your brain, improving emotional regulation by engaging your amygdala, the brain's emotional processing center. Who needs that, though, when you can throw your emotions down the empty bottles you've drowned yourself within? Are you friends with people that constantly put you down, like the sort that laugh at your attempts to try new things, or perhaps a partner that never respects your boundaries? If your life is littered with people who constantly make you feel terrible, you're doing pretty good. Cutting off toxic people or setting boundaries is only for those who actually care about their mental health. That part of you that's considering leaving a toxic relationship is missing the fact that if you stay, you can avoid accountability. Instead, you get to blame all your life shortcomings on this one thing. Of course, you didn't have a choice. At least that's what your future self gets to say. Spoiler alert, your clueless partner isn't going to notice that they're making you miserable. Meanwhile, your friends who are supposed to ease your burdens aren't that much better. They constantly laugh at your dreams, ghost you when they need something, and often make jokes at your expense in front of others. Among the folks who made their right choices in their 20s, you'll often find those who were able to surround themselves with supportive people. Be honest, though, the drama is a lot more exciting. Therapy's expensive, and admitting you might need help is just embarrassing. What do you mean you're in your 20s and can't brute force your way through problems? Maybe you should consider a pinwheel hat and a lollipop to validate your lackluster identity. No. You're ruining your 20s, and there's no faster way than to completely deceive yourself. One of the surefire ways to do this is by believing you can figure out everything on your own. Keep telling yourself that. Ignore the growing pile of unresolved issues and trust that you'll handle them by doing absolutely nothing. Self-help books are overrated. Mindfulness is a mouthful to pronounce, and you're literally already the best. You've got nothing to worry about. Trust the voice telling you to ruin your youth. Begin to lean into unhealthy coping mechanisms. Now, this is where the fun really begins. Retail therapy is a must. That's when you avoid your mental health struggles by engaging in consumerism for the sake of it. Just buy things, or it might be time to sink into endless hours of gaming, all while something gnaws deep within, begging to be heard. It's cheaper, faster, and way more destructive to do this. Now sure, therapists and counselors are equipped to help people identify and address the underlying cause of their problems. Except, who needs that when you could master the art of self-sabotage instead? You could always waste your time building meaningful relationships by getting instant gratification from double taps on your Instagram posts. Your follower count, likes, and shares measure your worth, not real-life connections, so don't even think about giving yourself a little sob story about how the real world is what matters more. The best part about all of this is that you can completely ignore whether or not you're truly happy. As long as you appear happy, everything's fine. After all, genuine validation from loved ones can't compete with strangers showering you with emoji-filled praise. There's evidence confirming that seeking excessive reassurance on social media can lead to an unhealthy dependence on external validation, and this can end up heightening feelings of insecurity. Building real friendships is hard work. Meeting up in person, texting people back, listening when they talk, it's exhaustion. Why not dive headfirst into parasocial relationships? Follow the lives of influencers and turn them into your best friends. Be invested in YouTuber drama, the kind that has zero bearing over your life. Binge hours of CoffeeZilla, dive headfirst into the newest Paul Brothers shenanigans and pay no attention to the things that are worthwhile for building your own life. Psychologists note that parasocial relationships can provide comfort, but they aren't a substitute for real connections. It doesn't matter though when you're too busy ruining your 20s for a little bit of validation from your favorite streamer though. When you interact with people face to face, keep the focus on you at all times. When you're hanging out with your friends, use that opportunity to perform. Don't act natural, don't act genuine. Instead of having real conversations, make sure to craft stories that will impress, shock, or amuse your audience. Yes, even down to your parents who know that you're completely borrowing a personality from TV. Take things a step further when your friends feel safe and vulnerable around you. Instead of being helpful, steer the conversation back to yourself and one-up them. Highlight how your problems are so much worse and that they should be grateful for what they have. Meaningful conversations are proven to build stronger relationships. However, who actually wants emotional intimacy, especially when you have a captive audience? Why call someone when you can send a quick snap and pretend like you have a deep connection? Why even grab coffee when a thinking of you comment under their post will suffice? Maintaining real relationships is too inconvenient and infinitely less messy, especially when superficial relationships through social media aren't so bad. Sure, years will pass and you'll realize that life passed you by. The only memory of the people you ever showed interest in will be on a data server somewhere in California. As long as those comments exist, it's all the proof you need that you knew people. In-person connection means dealing with more problems than you'd like to handle. Plus, you're ruining your 20s, so why confront problems? Live a filtered life through your digital lens and continue to sift through any realness left within, including your own feelings. If people are paying attention to you, it's basically the same as them caring about you. At least that's what you keep telling yourself. Comments, likes, and shares are just as good as support from loved ones, maybe even better. Especially because they're public and quantifiable. It's easy to tell how much you matter when the numbers increase on your socials. It's much harder in the offline world. Cultivating actual relationships, finding emotional depth, and seeking trust. When you're feeling down, post something designed to grab the attention of strangers. It could be a simple, vague, emotional status update or a cryptic story. Once those superficial responses start coming in, you'll latch onto the validation like a drug. Your 20s are for living your life to the fullest, so why waste any time on boring things like eating healthy or exercising? Sleep is for the weak, and anyone who says otherwise is holding you back. Take things a step further. Oh, you took a break from college to find yourself. Great. Since we're busy ruining your 20s, the best thing to do is actually to avoid any soul searching. Don't challenge yourself, don't be curious, and always doubt your potential to do more. This way you can quickly find yourself paralyzed by fear. When the eventual realization hits you at 2 a.m., tell yourself, I'll figure it out tomorrow. People who regret wasting their 20s will tell you that tomorrow doesn't exist. That's not what you're here for, though. Skip annual checkups with your doctor, ignore that nagging pain in your back, and laugh off any signs of burnout. There is always tomorrow. Even if you do get around to addressing these issues, you're probably going to be late, and the consequences will be too dire to ignore. Your obsession with soda hasn't given you diabetes yet, so why fuss about it now? If you're stressed, just drown it all out with late-night Netflix binges, bottomless mimosas at Sunday brunch, or spending sprees courtesy of that credit card you've sold your soul to. Developing healthier outlets takes too much effort. Besides, unhealthy coping mechanisms offer the promise of instant satisfaction. When the voice in your head tells you that your bad lifestyle choices aren't sustainable, challenge it. The goal is to enjoy the moment, no matter the long-term damage to your mental health. Take it as a mini-game and challenge yourself to see how far things can really go. Limit testing is one of the fastest ways to go from 100 to 0, so if you're looking to speedrun ruining this period of your life, go for it. Psychologists advocate for healthier stress management strategies. Let's be honest here, there's no real room for yoga when you're busy spiraling. Sleep is overrated. This method is strictly for the passionate folks your age who are looking to quickly crash and burn. If your vice isn't resting, then turn to something that exerts your energy. Think along the lines of gaming marathons or scrolling on your socials till the sun comes up. When your eyes are dried out from the endless dopamine chase, take a quick nap. Scratch that, you probably won't get a nap thanks to your late night shenanigans, so you're going to be highly unproductive at work or school. If your body starts to rebel with constant fatigue, headaches, or poor focus, that's where you bring in the caffeine. This magic potion comes in different recipes. Some choice options include coffee and energy drinks. Energy drinks are cheap and offer that electrifying feeling to spark up your mind for new, life-ruining ideas. Meanwhile, coffee provides a classy and distinguished look to your self-sabotage. It's pretty easy to lie to yourself about productivity when there's a Starbucks around. Consume more caffeine than you'll ever need and quickly ruin your relationship with sleep. Sleep scientists emphasize the importance of rest for brain health, but who actually needs focus or emotional stability when that espresso buzz is hitting? If you do learn how to make healthy choices, make it your entire identity. Make sure everybody knows. Hit the gym like once a month and then post a sweaty selfie validating your newfound love for a healthy lifestyle. Just forget being genuine about it. There's people who post their health updates to motivate others, but that's not the point here. Instead, you want to look like you care without actually caring. Nobody's going to be able to tell. Try a green smoothie and tweet about how you're always ordering this, and then once the photo's taken, scoot it away and sip on your excessively sugary latte. Never commit to anything long term. Consistency is a concept designed for boring people who aren't brave enough to engage with life's randomness. Your health journey should be all about those fleeting bursts of inspiration that come once in a while. Fall in love with the idea of being healthy, and abandon all the effort required to actually make it happen. Once your inspiration fades, sink into the long stretch of inactivity that follows. Are you feeling overwhelmed in life? Push harder. If all this advice about being a bum doesn't sound like your speed, we've got you. Here's what you can do. First, work multiple jobs, find a source of passive income, run multiple businesses, invest all your money, and avoid building personal connections. This is a solid and co-signed way to ruin your 20s. Take it from the dying regrets of old people. In her book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, Bronnie Ware says one of the top regrets she frequently heard was, "I wish I hadn't worked so hard." Many of her patients wish they spent more time with loved ones and prioritized personal relationships over work and material success. This sort of regret highlights the importance of balancing work and personal life, ultimately warning people to avoid letting the pursuit of professional achievements overshadow the value of meaningful life experiences. Kinda sounds like good advice at first, and to an extent it is. However, the grind you're in the midst of now is because you'll make up for it in the future. Only this time you're striving for an ideal you're not likely to ever meet. Truth be told, you're likely going to be in your 30s, expecting the world to suddenly be perfect like you envisioned. Except that the world won't be that way, because you never tried the living part of life. Instead, you grinded some amazing years away for a fantasy. Burnout is real, and as you aim to ruin your 20s, it's best to fully embrace its calling. Mental health professionals recommend some level of balance and boundaries in life. The problem is that it doesn't come off as hardworking as a personal motto like, I grind while you sleep. Everything is expensive, that's undeniable, so why prioritize your health when it's expensive and time-consuming? Left, right, and center, the charges seem ridiculous for things that could better your life. Forget the gym membership we mentioned earlier, it probably costs too much. Fresh vegetables are expensive. Besides, if you set the credit card aside for a moment, you've got better things to spend your limited funds on, like takeout or shopping online. If you're good with money, yet wellness feels like a luxury, give yourself the excuse that you can't be healthy without spending a lot. Now sure, you could work out at home and focus on a decent diet. You could find ways to crack a healthy lifestyle on a budget with like a couple Google searches. That's not enough of an excuse for the sob story you should tell yourself instead. The process of ruining your 20s is one where you need to build a labyrinth of these excuses behind your shortcomings, so don't be too aware of the things that are in your power. Small, consistent investments in health can save you a fortune later. That's a mantra for the people who care about a better future, which isn't you. One thing about good advice is that it's rarely valued by the people who need it when it's initially offered to them. Congratulations on making it this far. If you've been laughing or cringing at the thought of following all of these steps to ruin your 20s, you're not alone. Maybe you finally realized there's a part of you ready to make some real changes. Here's one piece of advice worth taking from this video above all else. A few mindful adjustments now can save you from a world of regret later on. You don't need to start envisioning yourself as a Wall Street prodigy overnight. Financial literacy is more about learning a few basic skills that will begin to pay off in the future. The future's not distant either. Within your first month, you'll be proud of what you achieved and likely to be more motivated to make additional progress. Start with simple budgeting tools like apps for tracking your spending. Become familiar with concepts like saving, investing, and debt management. Aim to live below your needs and focus on needs over wants. Thinking big is a quick way to lose your attachment to goals, especially if you're not used to working towards something. Learn to set small, achievable objectives for yourself and celebrate progress instead of perfection. If you want to save for a big trip or switch careers, break it all down into steps that you can commit to. More importantly, learn to give yourself permission to enjoy the journey instead of obsessing over where you think you should be. Your 20s aren't a race, they're more like a practice run for building the habits that will support you in the decades ahead. Self-reflection doesn't have to be scary or boring. Journaling, talking to a trusted friend, or therapy can genuinely help you figure out what truly matters to you. By learning to spot your own tendencies and patterns, you can make decisions that align with your values. And this is much better than chasing fleeting trends or external validation. And besides, you're in your 20s. It's okay to change your mind about what you want. Growth is messy. It's also where the best magic happens. Social media is fun, but it's a nice strong substitute for real human connection. It's better to invest time in nurturing relationships, especially with people who inspire, challenge, and support you. And you're in luck with this. Activities like volunteering or engaging in group hobbies are great for bringing like-minded people together beyond the allure of a high follower count. You don't need to overhaul your life to be healthy. Start small. Take the stairs, drink more water, or aim to squeeze in an extra hour of sleep. Remember, the goal is consistency, not perfection. Mental health is also worth caring for in your early post-teen years. Practice saying no to things that drain you and prioritize activities that recharge your energy. If therapy feels out of reach, explore free resources like supportive communities and meditation guides. Here's the truth. Nobody's ever figured out everything in their 20s. It's a decade that is mired with trial, error, and a lot of moments where you go, what the hell was I thinking? It's normal. Focus on becoming a little better today than you were yesterday. And when you inevitably make mistakes, laugh, learn, and keep moving forward. Your 20s are for setting the stage, not for putting on a final act.